My name is Craig Larson. I'm partner and senior director at Incloud for client solutions and success. So my passion, my role is the customer experience. I've been with Incloud for over 2.5 years. I've joined Incloud from prior IT channel experience. Latest was e-commerce. So my background is really understanding customer journey and how to align an organization's processes to meet that delivery of the experience. And now at Incloud, and especially with Salesforce, how to take that Salesforce technology to support and drive that experience that you want to deliver. So a little bit about Incloud. Many of you are existing customers of Incloud, so thank you for that. Thank you for your partnership over the years. But we really focus on your organization's processes to deliver that customer experience by putting the customer at the center of your business. I come from ERP way back 30 years ago, implementation of SAP, Oracle, and really those systems were delivered focused on how do we operate internally. So enterprise resource planning was all about how does an organization structure itself to improve their internal processes. The customer was an afterthought. Obviously, the customer fueled what they had to deliver internally, but it was really focused on what does my department need to do? What do my people need to do within my department? Today, what we focus on putting the customer at the center, and what does your organization need to do to leverage the customer information that you're now starting to acquire. And we're going to go into a bit more detail about how that looks. And then once we focus on putting that customer at the center of your business and what does your organization need to look like to support that experience, we then take the Salesforce technology and then we map it and configure it to support what you want to deliver. That is all we do. So we started off in 2010 as a subset of a sister company called Intelio, but we became Incloud in 2013. So we are 100% focused on delivering Salesforce-only solutions. We start from a consulting perspective, like I said, focusing on your business processes, putting the customer at the center, and then we focus building the implementation and delivering the technology solutions that support that consulting. We are located just up the hill on Beaver Hall. We're over 60 employees, all centrally located in 1080 Beaver Hall Hill. We do not outsource any of our resources on any of our projects. We do have a couple of resources in Toronto and in Quebec, but primarily to support those customers. But primarily we work all together, and the leverage and the benefit that we find is when people work together, they share. They overhear conversations about which projects are happening, what problems, what challenges are being faced, and then they share best practices. We have a customer, Banque Nationale. We work day in, day out with Banque Nationale, and if we start with a small business and they have a similar type, whether you're Banque Nationale or whether you're a five-man shop, the sales process, your customer service process, there's multiple of the same challenges. So in our team, when they start overhearing and sharing best practices, that's when we find the success of how we deliver and how we show up to our customers different than just a company that goes in to implement a project and then walks away. Again, 100% Salesforce, that's all we do. We live and breathe Salesforce. So what we're going to talk about today is all based on information that comes from Salesforce Research. So Salesforce has a division that only focuses on researching and providing insights to a myriad of different topics. Similar to Gartner and Forrester, Salesforce Research has put together what I used for today's session, state of sales, state of customer service, and the state of the connected customer. The connected customer is what drove today's session. So I don't want to talk, obviously we're going to talk about sales and service, but we're going to be driving how does today's customer differ and their expectations that you need as an organization by aligning sales and service to deliver what a connected customer today is expecting and therefore the experience that you're delivering. So the research is cross-industry, cross-company type, from a two-man shop to 200,000 across different industries and types of businesses. So B2B, B2C, B2B2C, and different roles. So all the data that they acquired throughout their the research was buyers, consumers, purchasers, lines of business, product managers. So it's a very good cross-section. So all the statistics that I'm going to be sharing today comes from Salesforce Research, and it's global. I didn't go through the fine detail of just pulling out Quebec or Montreal or Canada, but it does give you a holistic view of globally what do customers expect. And also generation. Generation was a very interesting dynamic in the research that we've used, because you look at Gen X, millennials, baby boomers, there are far different approaches and expectations from a customer experience perspective. So Gen X and millennials obviously are now feeding the workforce, and organizations need to focus on the next generation that's coming in that will drive those business decisions that you're ultimately going to try to secure. So again, part of the role that we have to play for you today is to help understand what do you guys need to do to get ahead of that customer experience and be disruptors in your own industries. Anybody know who this is? It's a famous Alfred. Okay? Does this look the Nobel Peace Prize? So Alfred Nobel was a Swedish native. He was born in 1833, passed away in 1896. And everybody knows the name Nobel today because of the Nobel Peace Prize. That's not where he claimed his fame. Click. It was dynamite. He invented dynamite. I did not know this. So just a fun fact, I just came off a Kool-Aid trip called Dreamforce. So I spent 5 days immersed in San Francisco with 180,000 people, all talking about Salesforce. I borrowed this from one of the presentations, because one of the presentations was focused on how to transform an organization. And I found it very relevant to parallel the transformation of an organization and of a person to transformation of a customer experience. So what happened in Alfred Nobel's case, his brother was visiting Cannes in 1888, Ludwig, and he passed away. But a French newspaper, mistook his brother's passing for his own passing and posted his obituary as a headline saying, "The merchant of death is dead." Now again, he was known for creating dynamite that was the one item that killed the most amount of people than ever before faster. He saw this, and he realized that the experience that he was providing to the outside world was not what he wanted to be known for. Very similar to organizations, what does your organization want to be known for your customers? Because really, ultimately, people buy from people, and people base their decisions on the experience. So he took the mandate to transform who his experience was going to be to the outside world by creating the Nobel Peace Prize. He took 31 million kroner. Today's worth was 31 billion in 2012. And he left it. He had no wife, he had no kids. He left it to the estate, unbeknownst to anybody. No one knew this until he passed away. And he started off by 5 Nobel Peace Prize categories to start acknowledging how peace can be driven in different areas of society. So he transformed his experience that people know him for from Dynamite King to Nobel Peace Prize, the purveyor of peace. So I found it very, this is going back into the 1800s, this transformation and how you drive that really takes a moment, an aha moment. Understanding where you are today, how you're being perceived from a customer perspective, and then driving what do you need to do to align your organization to deliver that augmented experience. So what is customer experience? We have to define how do you compartmentalize or the definition of experience so you can start addressing it. So where customers' expectations and experience meet. So every customer has an expectation of the interaction that they're going to have with your organization, your people within your organization, and the processes that they encounter while dealing with your organization. So that experience is either met or it isn't. So the definition of customer experience is aligning how do you gauge the expectation of your customers and the experience that they're delivering. How many people know about the fourth industrial revolution? Okay, so for those of you who already know and who've been to many Salesforce seminars, this slide keeps on coming up because that's where we are today. The fourth industrial revolution is all about connectedness and the utilization of data to drive innovation and drive experiences. So we are now in the fourth industrial revolution to see how do we leverage all of this data that is all around us about our customers. And we're not only talking about the typical data that people understand to be the norm. First name, last name, email address, telephone number. That's what marketers in organizations would call first-party data, right? We are now looking at what are the data points that we have from my interactions of those customers. Where did they visit on my website? What have they done in an engagement or interaction with the people within my organization? That data is power because it helps you become more contextualized, more relevant, and more personal if you use it in the right way. So salespeople interact with customers on a daily basis because they want to provide products and services to the customer, and they have conversations. They have email exchanges, they have telephone calls, they have meetings. How do you leverage that data and the outcomes of those data to drive better service and a better experience with your customers? Similarly, on the customer service side, is how do you understand where the customer is in their journey with your organization to provide better customer. So we're involved right now in an insurance company. All of the life events of an organization drives a better experience if you understand where a customer is in their life journey themselves to offer the right product and service to secure or to provide security or assurance to that organization or to that company or person. So today we're starting with the customers at the center. Customer 360 is putting the customer at the center and everything that you do as an organization. How do you drive the alignment between all of this to deliver that consistent, seamless experience for the customer? Today's session, we chose to focus on sales and service. I'll be throwing in some marketing every once in a while for the marketers in the room, so you're not ignored. But you can see within the Salesforce ecosystem of the platform itself, there are so many areas that help leverage augmenting your customer experience. So we're going to be focusing on the sales piece and the service piece today. So again, going back, customers, as the Alfred example, customer experience is not a new concept. I mean, his customers, he viewed the world to be, he was serving, or he wanted to serve, a purpose. So customer service is not a new concept, but it's never been more relevant. So we see this time and time again, as salespeople are not only tracked on sales numbers, they're now also being measured on customer satisfaction and the level of success that the customer has with the product or service that they've sold them. And similarly, also on the customer service side, Ryan spoke to it earlier, they are now being viewed, how much more can you help us sell to that customer when you're dealing with a customer service request? So today, the importance of sales and service to understand what the others do and the status of that customer within those two domains is more important than ever. So 73% of customers say that an extraordinary experience with one company raises automatically their expectations of the next company they're going to deal with. And this is where the consumerism is now bleeding more than over into the business world. You think of yourself as a personal shopper and your experience with Amazon, or your experience with Netflix. The ones that you enjoy dealing with because it's easy to find information, the issues are resolved very quickly, that now sets the standard when you now go back into your workday and are dealing with a company that you need to interact with to fulfill a business requirement. You want to be able to have the salespeople be available. I'm getting ahead of myself, sorry. So salespeople available, information, self-serve. How do you make it easy to support the experience that you expect because you now walked in from just purchasing something on Amazon, sitting here on your desk, and it's like, oh, this is frustrating. I have to repeat myself many times because an organization doesn't keep or doesn't seem to care about the information that I've already given them. So customer experience is the next competitive battleground. It is more important now to deliver an experience has more of an impact than the actual product or service that you're buying. People are willing to take a product that is missing a couple of features or deal with a company that is, not maybe providing everything that they need, but if it's easy to do business with and an engaging and a very valuable way, they're willing to actually let go of a couple of features in order to make up that delta between the experience. So from a sales and service perspective, this is the typical experience that someone has. Picture someone calling a customer service desk, and they deal with the processes that have been built and the systems that the customer service people have, and then they need to buy an add-on, or they need something additional that the customer service is not aligned with sales, so they have to go back and change track and now start walking down the sales track. The disalignment of sales and service in terms of sharing customer data, sharing the systems that allow them to see that 360 view of the customer, that is what we typically see in older organizations that have not made the transformational leap. So we really want to focus on bringing the sales and service roads or journeys that the customers take and fast track the experience that they have. Steve Jobs said it really well. Get closer than ever to your customers, so close that you tell them what they need before they even realize. So again, part of what we'll be showing you is when you look at a customer service agent, how do you serve up information that helps the customer service agent know what should I be recommending based on interactions, conversations, or open quotes that the salespeople are actually interacting with that same customer. Customer service covers a myriad of different reasons of existence. Anywhere from I have a question for my invoice, I have a problem with my product. So knowing how to then align the data that you have from a corporate perspective, so customer corporate data is now the fuel of an organization. So how do you serve up the customer data to be able to equip the customer service agent with the recommended best next thing that you should help drive to add value to that customer interaction? So 84%, and this is going back to what I said earlier, 84% of people are willing to pay more for a great experience. When iPhone came out, it was not cheap. But the experience that it provided was far more valuable than the money that people had in their pockets. So people naturally will give more money. Anybody have a favorite barber or hairdresser that you go to? They're not always the cheapest, but you have that experience that provides that one-to-one connection. That's what is building up in the business world, is that consumerization of the experiences. So where can customer service help sales? Well, they can help upsell and cross-sell. So arming and having the information readily available from a sales perspective served up to a customer service agent so that they know what products do the customers have, what are the add-ons or the additional value-added services that can be talked to, so that a lot of times the sales rep needs support to help have a different type of conversation from a different angle for the customer to see the value that they can drive. Learn and disclose common pain points. So part of the customer service ability to bring in what a pain point is and then have that visibility shared with a sales rep is very powerful. You don't want to have a call from a sales rep to try to sell you something if you're currently having a challenge with what you've already purchased or the service that is being currently rendered. Being able to share that information in real time and in process-driven real time definitely will help drive the experience. Personalize the customer effort. So again, part of what we've seen in the research is people are fed up, and share if you've experienced this, of repeating themselves. You're dealing with an organization, you spent a lot of time with a sales rep, and then you go to reach out for help, and they have no idea who you are. You have to say your name, your address, all the information that you would assume that the customer from the business, from the sales perspective, would have been naturally transferred. Doesn't really happen. Companies have come a long way in trying to reduce that repetitiveness, but it still exists today, and this is where we're going to demonstrate how to align that so you can leverage it. Reduce the customer effort. So again, make it easy for the customer to just focus on what they need and not have them be the administrator to have to repeat everything that you should already have from an awareness perspective. So how can sales help customer service? So having the awareness, like I said in that example, if a customer is called, or if a customer calls the sales rep, how many times does a customer call the sales rep to resolve an issue when they should have called customer service? But if your processes and systems are aligned, that sales rep can actually initiate that initial request and naturally engage the customer service to continue that process and make a warm handoff and not say, sorry, you have to call our customer service department. So how do you make that, again, experience far more easier from a sales to customer service? Educate customers on what your company to do for them. So again, providing the sales rep a lot of the services that customer service is normally charged with. Again, we have cross industries in the room, so I can't talk to all the examples, but I think you can start thinking in your mind where this could be applicable. But if spare parts are a customer service issue that sales reps don't have normally the requirement to go and pursue, if the sales rep has the same information that customer service agent and the system and the processes support that recommendation, then you can definitely drive a higher experience. So dedicate time to maintaining relationships. Again, this is part of sales and service being aligned. The sales rep now can focus on increasing the relationship because they have visibility into what's happening within that 360 view of the customer's interactions with their organization. And report customer needs and requests to appropriate parties. So that kind of just goes in deeper in terms of if they are having conversations, if your processes and systems are aligned, you can share the knowledge that you're acquiring from a conversational perspective to the right people on the customer service without having the customer have to go manually to get that information. So how can they help each other? Well, obviously, by working together and being aligned and delivering that seamless experience, they can increase retention because they have visibility and they're no longer, I'm just a sales rep, I'm just a customer service. They have the ability to play each other's roles without stepping on each other's roles and responsibilities, but being seamless to the customer. Yeah. So how, obviously, keep customer satisfaction at an all-time high. That is ultimately the way that you're going to gauge that experience. How happy is the customer? And by working together, you naturally drive that up. Enhance overall productivity. This is if you're helping the customers be easier making it easier to engage, the amount of work that you're doing by leveraging that corporate customer data across sales and service, you're naturally going to be more productive, or your agents and sales reps will naturally be more productive. And you can actually focus on the items that need to be focused on. So again, increasing productivity, you then open up the area to focus on what items need to be focused that the organization have identified. And obviously why we're all here is to see tremendous gains to the bottom line. By decreasing the amount of repetitive actions and the misaligned processes within sales and service, you naturally can add more, decrease more cost and increase the bottom line. So the 5 takeaways for how you can bridge the gap between the sales and customer service teams is create cross-team reporting. So having CSAT as a measure for sales, having upsell, cross-sell, and opportunity identification on customer service. Customer service is a natural way to uncover opportunities that could potentially come out naturally in a conversation that didn't occur in the sales side. You establish collective incentives. So how do you start now incentivizing both sales and service on each other's? So if sales needs to help solve customer service issues by having visibility, they might now partake in the resolution of that case. Shares everybody's job description. This seems to be a no-brainer, but many organizations, you don't have a knowledge of what the other person in the customer's experience journey, where they start and end in their responsibility. So part of one of the exercises that every organization should undertake is journey mapping, the customer journey mapping exercise, is understanding from awareness all the way to renewal, what interactions does a customer have with your organization? Train customer service reps on basic sales skills. Again, this is not difficult, but sometimes it's overlooked. How to have those natural scripts, and the system and the processes can help drive that. And share the same customer view. So having that corporate data again, and the life cycle and the interactions, and where the customer is in their level of satisfaction. Is the customer happy? Sentiment, we're going to talk about later on, sentiment measuring. So how to bring in social listening. For those organizations that make sense, how do you bring social listening into the customer service so that you had an extra layer of understanding of the experience that you're delivering? So that's it for the theoretical part.